what do you think the dating scene in Pittsburgh looks like?
Ooh, it's small, so it's really good to not burn bridges.
Okay guys, so this episode of Ask Pittsburgh is on Pittsburgh's dating scene. It's familiar to some of us, it's less familiar to others. Either way, let's go ask Pittsburgh and see what they think.
This is actually like my first real date in like a year, I think.
There's a lot of places to, find and meeting people. There's colleges here, there's bars here.
I've tried dating and I haven't been very successful with it, so I'd say it's pretty much non-existent for me.
I think there's a pot for every lid in Pittsburgh. This is a pretty diverse area and a lot of young people, if you're into young people.
As far as like dating, I would definitely say Kennywood, a walk in the park, something different. I mean, Pittsburgh doesn't have a lot to do.
Kennywood's like a big commitment. Because if you don't like somebody, or if it's the first date and doesn't go well, like you paid $30, like you're stuck in that park, like that's your partner for every ride, so I don't know. I think that's probably like a second or third.
I don't like Kennywood that much. I know, horrible Pittsburgher. No.
You're like, what if I get stuck with this person?
Yeah, what if you're like on the roller coaster and it goes up and then it stops and you're just like, then you're just stuck there with them.
So my roommate is dating someone right now and she goes to Lawrenceville a lot. There are a lot of restaurants and nice dessert places, cafes.
Lawrenceville is up and coming. It's all right. You get a little bit more of the hipster crowd in Lawrenceville, maybe a little more liberal vibe down there.
It seems from behind the bar that the dating scene in Pittsburgh is thriving.
Everybody's just into sex. Nobody's into commitment. Nobody wants to build a future with anybody any longer. You're not really finding any real relationship dating. It's more of a sexual dating.
Well, the dating scene in Pittsburgh is really interesting because a lot of people complain to me that they can't find anyone to date. There's no one to meet. I think they're just not looking in the right places.
I've tried online and I've gone out, that's been nice, and the gym is that's a hot spot too.
I'm not a bar person, so I think meeting people in bars can actually be more difficult than you would think originally.
I don't use any of the apps because I've had a few creepy encounters, I could say. Yeah. She was witness to all of them. I've never tried Tinder because I heard it was just a hookup date and I'm looking for something more than just a wham bam, thank you ma'am.
Match.com, the dating websites, I don't think they're useful. I feel like you should be in contact with that person. I feel like it should be like a face-to-face thing.
It surprised me that I'm like, oh, there are people in Pittsburgh I don't know. And so I've made some friends through dating apps. So I got stuck, but met some cool people that I don't think I would have met otherwise.
Oh, I'd be in so much trouble if I was single. I just wouldn't know what to do. I'd sit in a dark room and wait for tomorrow. I just wouldn't know what to do.
It's not that bleak. It's not that bleak.
Young men are trying to talk to me from Instagram. I don't use dating apps like Tinder or Plenty of Fish. I've never been into that type of stuff.
I don't know, Willy, what do you think about dating apps? Do you use them?
I don't, and I've never been on a first date, so...
You've never been on a first date?
Absolutely.
Hey, I ain't had a date in 65 years.
One of the things that I'm finding on my online search is that there's a lot of single women my age in Pittsburgh.
I know most people use Tinder, and my kind of people that I like to date aren't on Tinder, so yeah.
So what type of people do you like to date?
African Americans, handsome, tall, nice to build.
I'd say most people that I know, either they find people to date with through mutual friends, like someone they met at a party or something, or someone on like Tinder, especially more than Tinder. I think, what's the other one called, Bumble? I think it's the one where girls ask out guys first. Somehow that works out better, I think. I don't know.
Pittsburgh is the best city. Home of the Steelers, rah-rah. And
Pirates and Pens, don't forget.
Pirates and Pens, don't forget that.
Something I think everyone will relate to is how small Pittsburgh is. I think I've dated at least 3 people. My friends have dated. Just like also shitting where you eat.
Yeah, I've dated too many people who I turn around and oh, you know this person? And they're like best friends. I'm like, all right, I need to get out of this.
What I found is that when I would go out on a date, more than likely someone I knew also had gone out on a date with that person. So I think like being transparent and being open on who you've dated and
you know, trying to, if things don't work out, like uncoupling in a very transparent and honest way is very important here in Pittsburgh because it's so small.
And just because we're surrounded by so many schools, you will meet up with somebody and then actually know them. And you won't know how. Like, for example, I started seeing somebody and they turned out to be an old roommate of someone I went to high school with. And it's just like, you just know people. Because Pittsburgh's a small city, like it's big enough, but it's fairly small compared to other cities.
Pittsburgh is really segregated, like amongst neighborhoods, like certain types of people. Like,
and it's so small, it's so obvious.
Well, I noticed because of the city and the terrain, there is like a segregation. Like certain people only hang out with certain people on this side of town because of the rivers and the mountains. You know, that's a big divide.
And I think Pittsburgh, unfortunately, is maybe one of the most segregated cities that I've ever been in. And it affects the dating scene immensely to the point where it's like, I don't see a lot of interracial couples. No. I see a few. And that's really unfortunate to me because I really like bridging perspectives. That's what I love to do. But people are afraid. And I understand as a woman of color being afraid because there's a lot of microaggression and there's a lot of harm that comes from putting yourself out on a limb when you're of a majority oppressed people.
I don't know nothing about Pittsburgh dating scene. I've been married forever.
Have you ever found it to be hard to get a date?
No. I mean, I work at a bar, so there's always like guys just sitting there. And I mean, my job, we're very busy, and so there's a lot of people that go through. And so like, I mean, it's not hard, like if I wanted to.
Ideal first date? Probably Gus and Yaya's. Good spot, why not?
So you're saying Gus and Yaya's is a great first date?
Oh yeah, great first date and a great place to meet people.
I'm all about ambiance on a first date. I think you want to set a mood and set a tone for who you are and what you think about the world. And there's no better place in Pittsburgh to take someone on a first date, in my opinion, than up on Mount Washington, just because of the sheer beauty of the cityscape.
Honestly, a date to me could be anything. We could sit in a 7-Eleven parking lot drinking, you know, Slurpees and just talking. As long as you get to know somebody, it's honestly what matters.
It is so romantic. Whenever I'm in Monterey Bay or Altius, I honestly feel like I'm in London or New York or somewhere just very grand and romantic.
I really enjoyed the dating scene when I did date here in Pittsburgh.
I would say that Pittsburgh probably makes it easy to date like people because there's so many places you can go on dates.
It seems like no matter what my budget is, I can make it work.
Gateway Clipper, Pirate games, Steeler games, Penguin games.
Yeah, Southside, they have some great bars.
If you like going down to Southside, there's always, it's like the girls think it's Las Vegas down there. They're always, you know, they think it's a big deal to go down to Carson and walk up and down the street. It's a lot of kids that get out of college, you know, they're trying to find themselves and find their identity. And they end up going down there and you get a lot of like mid-20-somethings because they're trying to find a transition from coming out of college.
Stay single as long as you can.
I mean, maybe I'm just a liberal female, but like, do whatever you want, you know? I don't really care.
No, do whatever you want, exactly.
Yeah, that's my advice for dating, because I think once you start to try to limit your own self because of other people's thoughts or feelings, you're just gonna hurt yourself, and that's gonna eventually hurt other people because your heart must be in it. So as long as your heart is in it, you're gonna find other people who will make you happy, and then ultimately you'll be spreading more happiness in the world.
Just go in with like an open mind, and I don't know, if you're feeling the person, then great. If not, you might end up with like a cool friend at the end of it.
I would say just go for it. You can't meet anybody if you don't try.
Everybody comes to Pittsburgh. Even when they move away from Pittsburgh, they never forget their hometown.